Hey everyone, this is my simple 2D platformer game that I'm making in Unity, now with controller support. I promise this video is way more interesting than me just linking up a controller to my game. Well, I mean, that is what this devlog is about, but just shut up and listen, okay? It's very hot in Australia right now, and I do not have the patience for you to click off onto another video. It's 40 hecking degrees! So, I have never ever actually made a game with controller support before. Like seriously, I had no clue where to start. So, I went over onto the Unity documentation pages to read over their articles and— Just kidding, I'm not some kind of nerd. I looked up a brachis tutorial. I can't read. I watched through the tutorial on how to link up controllers to Unity, but it did not make things any clearer for me. Turns out there's actually a whole new input system that I have never heard of before. After using Unity for a good couple of years, I just didn't know that this existed. I've been using the old input system when I should have been using the new input system, so I went back to YouTube to look up some more tutorials, and I came across these videos by a YouTuber called Samyam. This YouTube channel has so many amazing tutorials, and I highly recommend you go watch them if you're starting out with Unity. And the tutorials that Sam made on Unity's new input system, the one that I didn't know existed, were so helpful in linking it up. After a few hours of coding and just screaming at my laptop in rage and agony, I was finally able to test out the input with my Switch Pro controller. Yes, this is a hand reveal. Thank you for your compliments, I grew them myself. Okay, so it wasn't working. So you know what I did? I persevered and I worked harder. Just kidding, I bought Kingdom 2 Crowns on the Switch and played it for like 50 hours straight. I spent a while going through my code and trying to find what went wrong, but my mind was almost as empty as my soul. Turns out there was just this one button that I had to press, and then it worked. I don't know why, it just did. It wasn't completely working though. I had a whole bunch of really weird issues. What I didn't realize is that I had to rewrite a whole bunch of code to fit with Unity's new input system. It was a bit of a challenge, but I learnt a lot, and this is all thanks to Samyam. So after what should have been like an hour or two, even though it was closer to 6 hours, we have the player movement working. Very swag. Using my new big brain knowledge, I made some extra stuff to help me out with making these devlog videos. I mapped the shoulder buttons and triggers to change the style of the background, which I could already do on my laptop with keys E, Q, X and Z, but it felt so much more satisfying with a controller. This feature won't be in the final release, but it just helps me to keep these devlog videos fresh. Player movement? Done. Controller input? Sure. Screaming into the dark abyss? Yeah, double done. Menus? Not so much. So if you're able to move the player with the controller, I think you should also be able to interact with the menu with the controller. I think I overcomplicated this for myself because after a couple of hours of looking at how to do it, I realized that I didn't actually have to change much. Everything was kind of set up in a way that already made it really easy to add controller inputs to UI features. So thanks, Unity. I'm not a real gamer type of person, so I don't have too many controllers. I could try to map the game to a Wii remote, but I don't think that would be very useful. Minima is a really simple game though, so I don't think I'll actually need remappable controls. If you don't know, remapping controls just allows you to choose which inputs do what in the game. Let's say you want to press your computer's power button to jump. You can do that, but you shouldn't. In Minima, there are only two very basic inputs, jump and move. Joysticks and D-pad to move, any other buttons to jump really, it's not that difficult. Obviously there will be some more inputs later on, like a pause menu and a playlist options, but that stuff is for me to stress about in a future devlog video. Right now I'm really happy with how this controller input system has turned out, and of course if you want to play with a keyboard, you still definitely can. It's the way that I intended Minima to be played, but now I can just say, hey, you can play this game with a controller. I hope. So to play Minima now, you can use a keyboard or a controller. That's about it. I hope you enjoyed this devlog video. Leave any ideas or questions in the comments below, and a massive thank you to my supporters over on Patreon, especially DerpyDino35 and Luat Games. You guys are awesome. I'm going to go sit in my freezer for a while, and I will see you in the next video.